Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So it's all thanking the Kunja and Nadia Bihari Prabhus for that yagya. They obviously, because, yeah, Krishna heard. So are there any first timers here tonight? Welcome. Thank you for coming. We'll have a gift for you a little later in the back. Our Sureshwar Prabhu has a gift for you, and you. Raise your hands high, and Sureshwar Prabhu is going to give you a Bhagavad Gita. It's our Sunday feast gift. Happy Sunday. Every day is a holiday in Krishna consciousness, so you can always give gifts anytime. So, yeah, grateful for the rain. Pretty intense. About stepping stones and stumbling blocks. What is the difference between a stepping stone and a stumbling block? So, actually, it's the wrong class. There we go. So tonight's talk, it's always a powerful tool for speakers to be very honest with their audience. And so we're going to be honest with all of you tonight. We are trying to make you happy. This is our goal. And we're trying to make you happy by connecting you to Krishna, because Krishna is the source of happiness. He says, Aham sarvasya prabhavo mata sarvapavartate. Everything emanates from him. So happiness also emanates from Krishna. Therefore, we're trying to connect you with Krishna via the process of bhakti yoga or devotional service so that you can become happy. This is our goal tonight. So we want to talk about stumbling blocks first off. So we hear this term sometimes used that whenever we have a goal, sometimes we have to experience stumbling blocks, things that trip us up, things that get in our way, that don't allow us to fulfill our desire. If you're walking and you see a stumbling block and you trip, now you're hurt, you have to get up, you have a stumbling block. So we should understand that in material endeavors, there's many, many stumbling blocks. And that in a material endeavor, anything you do materially, there is no guarantee. In fact, there's a very slim chance that whatever it is you're doing will be successful. Because this is the nature of the material world. Everything is temporary. Everything is ultimately destined for failure. It's like in the Apple iPhones, they build them to fail. What is that? What do they call it? Planned obsolescence. That's what this material world is. Planned obsolescence. Every material endeavor has certain strictures placed upon it because of the nature of this world. This world is temporary. So everything we do has a temporal nature. And even if we're successful, then at the time of... So material endeavors are full of stumbling blocks, and there's always a very high chance of failure. And if you do fail, say you come across a stumbling block in whatever endeavor or plan you have, and you come across a stumbling block, that could finish your whole endeavor. It can very easily discourage you or finish you or be a cause to cease that endeavor. So material endeavors, they're bad investments. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, says, Mogashya moga karnavano moga jnana vachetasaha. That whatever we're doing, if we don't have Krishna, if we're not connected to God, then it's mogashya. Mogashya moga karmano. That means our fruitive activities, whatever we want, the fruits of our endeavors, our fruitive activities, they're mogashya. They're finished because they're not connected to Krishna. Our culture of knowledge, our jnana, and whatever it is we're trying to learn in this world at the time of death, if we don't have spiritual knowledge, it's finished. And our hopes for liberation. So one who wants to be liberated or make spiritual advancement while ignoring the reality of the personality of Godhead, that also ends in mogashya, finished. It has no endurance. So material endeavors are like that. But a spiritual endeavor, on the other hand, a spiritual endeavor is full of life. It's full of success. In fact, if you sincerely walk a spiritual path, when you have a sincere desire to connect to God and to make spiritual advancement, there's absolutely no possibility of failure. You may not make it in this life, but Krishna guarantees in the Bhagavad Gita that there's no possibility of failure in spiritual life. If you're sincere and you actually want to know God, you want to understand God, then you can't fail because Krishna will help you. This is a spiritual endeavor. He says that there is no loss or diminution in this path. So that means whatever progress you make in this life, you can pick it up in your next life. But you can't pick up material progress. You can go get 3 doctorate degrees. You can have millions of dollars. You can go as far as you can in material life. But at the end of life, at the time of death, you have to let that all go. But spiritual life is not like that. You pick up where you left off in your next life. So all spiritual endeavors are much better bargains. But just like anything in spiritual life, there are stumbling blocks. Many of us here practice spiritual life very seriously, and some of us have been practicing spiritual life for many, many years. You see in the crowd, all glories to you. Those who do that, they've all experienced stumbling blocks, challenges in their spiritual life. Yet they're still going, and therefore they're successful. So for a materialist, a stumbling block could be a finisher. With that being said, there's also stepping stones. A stepping stone is something we use to cross over a difficulty to further enhance our progress. Say we have to cross a river and there's no bridge, but we see that there are stones that go all the way across the river sticking out of the water. We can use those stepping stones to easily cross the water. So in one sense, a stepping stone and a stepping stone and a stumbling block are the same thing, but how we perceive them vastly changes our end result. So I want to read a little from the Srimad Bhagavatam and speak a little from the Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam means the beautiful activities of the Lord, of the personality of Godhead. It's a 5,000-year-old text, and it's said that this text is the light of the sun in this age. Many of us are influenced by this darkness, and so this Bhagavat Purana will give us light. So this is a very famous text from the Srimad Bhagavatam, extremely famous, if not one of the most famous verses in the Srimad Bhagavatam. 10.14.8. Tate nukampam shushamakshamaano bhujana evatmakritam vipakam ridvajvapurbir vididam namaste jiveta yamukte pade sadhaya bhak. Beautiful Sanskrit verse, and the translation is, my dear Lord, one who earnestly waits for you to bestow your causeless mercy upon him, all the while patiently suffering the reactions of his past misdeeds and offering you respectful obeisances with his heart, words, and body, is surely eligible for liberation, for it has become his rightful claim. So let's dive into this verse here. This is Lord Brahma, the creator of the universe. He is praying to the Supreme Lord Krishna. And he's saying that if we tolerate, if we honestly wait and accept all of these reactions, all of these things that come upon us, all of these stumbling blocks, and we wait for Krishna to bestow his mercy on us, all the while we're very, very diligent in offering our love to the Supreme Lord. We are fixed in our devotion to him. We're fixed in our goal. It's said that there's no material impediment to stop someone from being successful in bhakti yoga. Nothing can stop you when you've decided with full conviction that I'm going to go back to Godhead. I'm going to have my relationship with Krishna resurrected. Nothing can stop that. So when we make that decision, it's number one in our life, then nothing can stop us. The reactions of our past misdeeds. So enlightenment Everything that happens is a result of karma in this world. There's actions and then there's reactions. So when I was a child, I used to wonder, why do bad things happen to good people? It was a very disturbing question for me. I grew up in the Catholic Church. Why do good things happen to bad people? Why are some people born in this country and some people born in that country? What is God's mood? What's his idea here? And when I read the Bhagavad Gita and I understood about karma, wow, it answered all my questions. We were in our past life, and therefore we take a certain body in our future life. It's very simple. Even Isaac Newton says, for every action, there's an opposite or equal reaction. So we're offering the Lord all of our love throughout all of these struggles. This is the process of overcoming any challenge and being successful in our endeavor to know the Lord. And why should we invest in a spiritual endeavor versus a material endeavor? Because in a spiritual endeavor, we actually gain happiness. We will never be happy unless we have this. Unless we connect to Krishna, there's no possibility of happiness. He's the real lover. He's the source of love. And therefore, why should we try to connect on a material level? We should connect with everybody and everything on a spiritual level, with the Lord in the center. And in that way, we become fully joyful because we're part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. Everybody's thinking I'm this body. Everybody's thinking I'm American, I'm Indian, I'm Hindu, I'm Jewish, I'm Christian, I'm Catholic, I'm male, I'm female. But we're not. We're all eternal parts of the Supreme Godhead. And therefore, when we connect to that Godhead, we become happy. We become like him in quality. We become fully blissful. We experience a sense of eternality, and we experience full claim. That's what this verse is saying. So, in other words, this verse is telling us we have to overcome duality. This world is full of dualities: anger, love, hate, these apparent dualities, hot, cold. There's so many things that the elusive material energy is throwing at us to make us forget our cherished goal of connecting with the Supreme Lord. And we've been here so long that most of us have already forgotten that goal. We just come into the world, Om Jnana Tamarandasya, born in the darkness of ignorance. We're born in the darkness of ignorance. What does that mean? We're born, we think I am this body, and this world is mine to enjoy. And I'm going to get all the gusto I can out of it. I'm going to get all the enjoyment I possibly can by coming to this world and making so many plans. So we're overcoming this duality. And in the course of spiritual life, we'll come across so many different circumstances. We find ourselves in horrible circumstances. Even if as devotees, we can find ourselves confused. We can find ourselves not knowing what to do and what not to do. In such a case, how do we know how to connect to God? How do we please God? So I'd like to tell a story from the Srimad Bhagavatam briefly. It's only a short class. This is a very big part of the Bhagavatam. That is just demonstrating this, how a devotee deals with everything. And this is on an extreme level in a higher dimension. So I want to tell the story of King Chitraketu and his next life, Vritrasura. So King Chitraketu was a very great devotee of the Lord. And there's a backstory to how he became a great devotee, but that was this morning's class if you were there with Lalita Priya. So you can go online and watch this morning's Bhagavatam class if you want that. So King Chitraketu is a great devotee of the Lord. He was always engaged in chanting and acting in a devotional way. He never forgot Krishna. He was always remembering the Lord's love, and he dedicated all of his activities to the Lord. This is the process of Bhakti Yoga. This is how you connect to the Lord. This is the ultimate end for actually making spiritual. He was a great Mahabhagavat devotee. And in the course of his activities as a Mahabhagavat, he used to fly around in celestial airplanes with many beautiful damsels of the heavenly world doing kirtan. Just like we were doing kirtan, King Chitraketu would fly through the heavens doing kirtan in his airplane. Very fantastic. And upon flying through these various heavens, he came across Lord Shiva and his wife Parvati. And Lord Shiva was expounding on this Bhagavat philosophy. He was speaking on the nature of the absolute truth. And what he saw was that Parvati was sitting on Lord Shiva's lap. And so King Chitraketu had a moment of slight arrogance and laughed at Lord Shiva, thinking, oh, I am better at controlling my senses than Lord Shiva, because Lord Shiva has his wife sitting on his lap during Bhagavatam class. And Lord Shiva had a joking relationship with King Chitraketu, so he kind of laughed it off. But Parvati was very upset. She thought this was not acceptable, so she cursed Chitraketu to become a demon. And for someone trying to go back to Godhead, getting cursed to be a demon kind of seems like a pretty big stumbling block. Right? So he was cursed to become a demon. And we're all cursed in Kali Yuga, just for the record. And most of us are coming from pretty demoniac backgrounds. Not all of us. I see some very pure souls here. But many of us have come from, we've done things in our lives that we regret, to say the least. We could say we've done things that are demoniac. And when we say demoniac, we're not like the Christians. We're saying demoniac means something very forgetful of God or in blunt ignorance of God. So he was cursed to become a demon. And how did he react? So this is an example of a stumbling block and a stepping stone, because for a devotee, there's no stumbling blocks. If we have the right consciousness, every stumbling block on our life, if we make Krishna the goal of our life, every stumbling block is simply a stepping stone. We cannot stumble, because all of these apparent stumbling blocks are happening for us, not to us. This is the difference between the consciousness of a materialist and the consciousness of a devotee. Is that whatever is happening to a devotee, he takes it as Krishna's mercy. And he understands that Krishna is using this to purify me so that I can become closer to him. And if I just simply remain devoted to him, accepting all these material circumstances, then I will be successful. So there's a nice verse. After Parvati cursed Chitraketu, Chitraketu went to Parvati and he bowed his head and he said, I humbly accept this curse. Even though he was powerful enough to counter the curse. And this is a theme throughout the Bhagavatam. Horrible things happening to great devotees who turn it into even greater things. If you analyze the Bhagavatam, that's kind of the Bhagavatam in so many ways. Even Maharaj Parikshit, he was cursed to die. What did he do? He used those 7 days to hear the Srimad Bhagavatam and go back to Godhead. So this is a theme in the Bhagavatam. And when we see themes in a literature, we can understand that there's a message that the Lord is trying to give us. There is no stumbling blocks. There's only stepping stones. So King Chitraketu humbly accepted this curse. And he became a demon. So Parvati was quite bewildered by this. She said, I cursed him and he was happy. What's the deal here? And so Lord Shiva, being the spiritual master of the universe, the greatest devotee of God in existence, he began to elaborate to her. And he said one nice verse, which I'll read to you. Beautiful Parvati, have you seen the greatness of the Vaishnavas? Being servants of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, they are great souls and are not interested in any kind of material happiness. So because of Vaishnava, a devotee of God, he is so fixed up in his spiritual position. He understands, I'm part and parcel of God. I have this body and I'm fixed in my mission to serve God. Therefore, whatever happens to my body, to my mind, I'm not affected. I'm going to remain fixed. I'm not going to give up my activities of bhakti yoga. And therefore, Lord Shiva is saying, they're not interested in material happiness. They're not interested in that. They're only interested in the love of God, the love of Krishna. So Chitraketu became a demon, and that demon was named Vritrasura. And what happened was this King Indra, the Lord of the Rains, who is with us tonight, he had offended his guru, and so he needed a new guru. And he got a new guru named Vishvarup. And this new guru was, doing priestly activities for him, offering yagyas. But he was secretly offering yagyas to the demons also, or to Indra's enemies. And so Indra found out and became furious, and he, in an act of anger to protect his kingdom, he killed this priest, chopped his 3 heads off. And of course, that was kind of some bad karma. So he had got the reactions and so forth. But the father of this priest was very angry, so he performed some yagya, some sacrifices to summon a demon to kill Indra. But he said the mantras wrong. And so actually the demon was to be killed by Indra, destined. And this demon was Chitraketu, reborn as a furious demon named Vritrasura, who I will briefly just read a description of. Like arrows released in the 4 directions, the demon's body grew day after day. Tall and blackish, he appeared like a burnt hill and was lustrous as a bright array of clouds in the evening. The hair on the demon's body, beard and mustache were the color of melted copper, and his eyes were piercing like the sun. He appeared unconquerable, as if holding the 3 worlds on the points of his blazing trident. Dancing and shouting with a loud voice, he made the entire surface of the earth tremble, as if from an earthquake. As he yawned again and again, he seemed to be trying to swallow the whole sky with his mouth, which was as deep as a cave. He seemed to be licking up all the stars in the sky with his tongue and eating the entire universe with his long, sharp teeth. Seeing this gigantic demon, everyone in great fear ran here and there in all directions. So this is that same Chitraketu who was flying around in an airplane chanting Hare Krishna and was a very pure devotee. Now he's in this form. Pretty big stumbling block if you're trying to go back to Godhead. So what does he do? This is really, really interesting, because we may find ourselves in challenging circumstances in our lives. We should understand that it's not so clear. And I'm experiencing this now, just in my little brief experience of practicing spiritual life, that, when you look forward, it looks, oh, this is going to be easy. I'm just going to chant, but there's so many curves and turns, and that's not always clear what to do. Arjuna found himself in that circumstance. Here he is, other devotees in battle. What do I do? So Vritrasura, he attacked Indra. This was what he was born to do. He attacked Indra. But he never forgot Krishna. He found himself in a circumstance where he's apparently going to commit these heinous activities. He's entangled. We're all entangled. Some of us are entangled than others. Some of us find ourselves pretty deep in Maya, and we don't know it out. But Vritrasura, he was, I think, extremely deep, and he had a very heinous form. And so he was going to act on his, impulse. He's going to fight Indra. This is what he was born to do. But internally, he understood Krishna's in control. And he never forgot Krishna. He never forgot this love and devotion to the Lord. Therefore, he was always thinking of the Lord inside. And so he was accepting that this birth as a demon is his karma. And all the while, internally, he remained praying to the Lord, just let me be a servant of your servants. He actually said this beautiful prayer. My dear Lord, my only desire is to just be a servant of your servants. When again will I be able to serve your servants? And by their association, always remember the lotus feet of you. He prayed like this. But at the same time, he was going to engage in this battle. So he attacked Indra, and a great battle ensued. And Indra had worshipped Vishnu to gain the thunderbolt weapon and attack Vritrasura. And so in the course of the battle, Vritrasura, he caught Indra's club. Vritrasura simply threw the club, and it hit Indra's elbow. It was bounced back 14 yards. So this intense battle ensued between Indra and Vritrasura. And due to the thunderbolt, Vritrasura lost his arm and leg. And here he is, trying to be a devotee, becomes a demon, loses his arm and leg in a battle by a thunderbolt weapon. And he begins to pray, knowing he's going to die. He actually knows, I'm destined to die. I can't defeat Indra. And Indra realizes, oh, this is a pure devotee in the form of a demon, just simply entangled. Just like I'm entangled, you're entangled, we're all entangled, find ourselves in so many circumstances. He's a pure devotee. Why? Because he never forgot Krishna and he always remembered Krishna, which is the essence of the Krishna consciousness movement in one phrase. Always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. And you'll be purified. And so Vritrasura began to speak to Indra. Indra didn't want to fight him, and Vritrasura said, you have to fight me. That's your duty. That's your divine duty. That's your service to God, is to kill me. But it's my destiny to fight you, therefore I'm going to fight you. But I'm always going to remember Krishna. And so Vritrasura was killed by Indra with this thunderbolt weapon and immediately went back to Godhead. So here we see that he was apparently demoniac. He's apparently attacking the king of the heavens, this very pious being Indra, but yet he was a great devotee. So the point of the story is that there's so many challenges. It's not always so clear in spiritual life. It's not always clean cut what we may go through. But we always have to remember that Krishna is in control. The Lord is in control. There's no stumbling blocks. There's only stepping stones. Whatever it is we're going through is the Lord using this. He's Suridam Sarvabhutanam. He's the friend of all living entities. He's using this to help us make progress. So whatever happens outside doesn't matter as much as how committed are we to chanting Hare Krishna. This is the consciousness of a devotee. No matter what happens, I'm not going to forget this chanting of Hare Krishna. I'm not going to forget the Lord. I'm not going to give up my practice of being fixed in devotional service. So you can learn that here by coming. And I'll just end with a brief story. Dhruva Maharaj was another great devotee. And he lived his whole life. He went through many stumbling blocks and stepping stones and so forth. And at the time of his death, at the time he was about to depart the world, death personified came to him to take him away. And because Dhruva Maharaj was a devotee and was so fixed in Krishna consciousness, it's described that he stepped on the head of death and jumped onto the airplane going to Vaikuntha and flew away. The death said, please, it's my duty to take you. And Dhruva Maharaj said, get out of my way. I'm stepping on your head and going into the... So this is the way a devotee experiences life. There's no challenge. Everything is simply a stepping stone for our advancement in Krishna consciousness. So wherever we're at, whatever we're experiencing, we have to remain loyal to the instructions of the great acharyas, especially Srila Prabhupada, this chanting of Hare Krishna. We may find ourselves not so easy. It's not so easy to do this, but we just continue to chant Hare Krishna. We don't forget that Krishna is the goal. And Krishna says, Api chet siddharacharo bhajate mamananyabhak sadareva samantavyaha samyak vyavashuto saha. So whatever we do, even if we find ourselves in the most abominable position, if we have this unflinching devotion to Krishna, Krishna considers us a sadhu. Krishna loves us. And we're always surrendered, accepting the consequences of wherever I'm at and just waiting to be purified. Why? Because that person is fixed in their determination to serve the Lord. So we need to develop determination, and you do that by associating with those who have determination. No one had more determination than Srila Prabhupada. If you read his books, you associate with those who practice this, you'll also gain determination. You can do that here. So just briefly, I went a little over. Is there any quick questions? Nadi Bihari Das, Prabhu.
I don't mean to be contrary. I was just thinking of, talk about how our spiritual progress isn't lost to our next life. And we also have our karma that goes over to our next life.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I know what your point is, so I don't mean.
We do have karma, but it's not the same because we've done spiritual life. It's described that by doing a little devotional service, it saves us from the worst type of fear. I mean, our karma we're living like animals in Kali Yuga. Or we should be animals. But if you do a little devotional service, you gain a human body. It's described that devotional service, you chant the holy name, you're liberated. One time, a Jamil chanted the holy name one time and he was liberated. So how do we explain this? How do we understand this? So it's not karma. It's a stepping stone. It's not the same. It's actually all for your progress. After you've begun this, there's no going back. So you carry on some karma, but it's not what you're meant to have. Krishna's greatly lessened the effects of your karma. Krishna's changed it. It's not the same as what your karma would be in your next life if you weren't a devotee. We do not know. But because we become devotees, there may be some residual karma if we even have a next life. But it's Krishna. Special arranged stepping stones for our purification. So there's some token karma, but it's not like the karma we would experience otherwise.
Different the way it carries over the material karma.
Yeah. Okay. Let's chant Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.